But if you actually go out there and like do like the hands-on marketing, like the guerrilla marketing, like go out and like DM people, like that's never not gonna work. It doesn't matter like if you're knocking door to door, if you're in the digital age of knocking door to door, like sliding into people's DMs. Again, people say like DMs don't work. I hear this all the time, and it's like, what does that mean? It just means what you're saying isn't working.
In today's video, I have a special guest with me. His name is Chris from wav.formation, and he has helped producers make tens of thousands of dollars from selling custom beats and on the high ticket end instead of the beat leasing model. So super excited to have you with me today, Chris. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Happy to be here. Happy to chat with you, man, and your people.
Yeah. So happy to get into it. Super excited for this because I know you have so much more information than I have because you've just tested it for so much longer as far as with selling high ticket products. And I think that you have a lot of gems to share with my audience today. So the first question that I had is, you found a lot of success with selling custom beats, and then you decided to teach it to other producers. And I feel like a lot of producers today, when they find some kind of success, they like to keep it to themselves. And it's the secret that they found. It's their formula. And they feel like if they share it, then the industry will become oversaturated and people will make less money. So what would you say to that?
Man, I don't know. Like that's such like a broken mindset, like a broken mentality, right? Like what makes you think like there isn't enough room for everybody to be successful, right? What's it oversaturated with? Like a bunch of people that don't know how to market properly? Like, I don't, you know what I mean? Like, so like it's not oversaturated. There's just a lot of noise because there's a lot of people that want to get into this type of thing, but they're not even willing to learn the proper ways to do it. Right. So, I mean, I speak to so many people that are just like, my idea is kind of just like to post once a week and hopefully it just takes off. And if it takes off, then like, great, I have a music career. It's like, who operates that way? Like, if you wanted to be a surgeon, are you like, I'm gonna, if it happens for me, then great. That's not how it works, right? Like if you have to first commit to something and then you have to take the actions towards it. Okay, I plan on being a surgeon. Well, I'm going to go to school for it and learn how to do it properly so that I can actually operate on people. It doesn't just fall in your lap, right? So it's not oversaturated, I don't think. And I like just sharing with people. Maybe this is just like a personal thing where I just like sharing because I want everyone to be successful. I know like when I struggled with it, it was hard, man. Like I know like the business side of things, the marketing, it's not the most sexy thing when it comes to music production because we kind of just want to go and sit in our bedrooms and be a hermit and be like, I just want to produce all day. But that's not going to get you to where you need to be. Right. And so I just decided, I don't even know if I'm answering your question. I'm kind of just like saying things, but like, so most producers would keep it as a secret. I mean, I just don't see the benefit in doing that. Right. I feel like everybody can eat.
Most definitely. No, that's a great point you bring up because like I saw somebody that was saying like the industry is shrinking, there's less revenue than ever, and nobody can sell their beats online. It was in terms of leasing, instead of custom beats. But if you actually look at the real numbers, the revenue keeps going up and there's more and more money in this. And there's more and more artists who are starting on their journey and spending money on beats. So I feel like there's so much money out there, but producers just don't know how to find artists that are willing to invest into their production.
Right. And whenever I hear someone say like the market is oversaturated, it just sounds like a cop out to me. It's like you don't want to learn the skill sets that you need in order to make this thing successful. Instead, you just want to say it's oversaturated, complain about things, and give up. Right. So I don't know, man. Like I just don't buy the oversaturated thing. Like if our industry grew as a whole, like more people were doing it, more people were successful at it, it would just grow as a whole. So if there was more success in it, more people would actually take it seriously as a career and more people would actually dive into it and there would just be more product and we would have a bigger industry. So there's only growth to helping other people get to where they need to go.
Most
That's
definitely.
just
And no, that's a great point. And I've had people ask me, and it's definitely a mentality thing. And they'll say, well, since there's so many people doing it, it's less chance of me being successful. And what I always tell them is, out of the millions of artists and the hundreds and hundreds of thousands, if not millions of producers out there, there's at least 1,000 or more that are earning, 10,000 a month every single year. And why can't you be one of those people? Why can't you scale your business up and become profitable out of the millions and literally billions of dollars in this industry? Like
exactly,
that's not going to affect it. That's like a drop of water in the ocean.
exactly, exactly. And so again, it just comes down to like people's willingness to do the things that are uncomfortable and what most people aren't willing to do to be able to reach that level of success. So in the end, it's not saturated. That's all I'm saying. It's like it's not saturated. It's just there is a lot of noise of people who want to jump into it, that want to do it, but won't learn the skill sets you need to be successful. Therefore, there's a lot of noise, but it's not saturated with people who are actually doing what's right. I don't want to say right, but what is makes them stand out, right? So like if you learn how to do things to make yourself stand out, there's no competition because everyone else is just spamming beat links.
That's perfect. I like the way you put that because, and I study so many other industries as I know you have yourself. And what I found when I correlate that with the beat industry, with most modernized industries, is that we are like in the dinosaur age of marketing. And I think, Gabe with Legion Beats, he was talking about selling, with low ticket products through ClickFunnels. And that has been around for like a decade, but
Right.
producers didn't know anything about it. And it's like there's people making millions of dollars off of this in other industries. Just apply it to your beat business, and that'll help you scale up.
Yeah. And no, like shout outs to Gabe for like bringing that into the industry. Because like, but the funny thing is that like when people hear sales funnels, they assume that's the only method or that it's even a method. Sales funnels aren't a method. It's a tool. You know what I mean? So like depending on how you use that tool is going to result to whatever outcome you get. So like your phone is a tool, right? It doesn't make sales for you. The person on the other side, like the words that you're saying makes the sales, right? So it's kind of like
Exactly.
saying like phones don't work for sales. It's like what? It doesn't even make sense. You know what I mean? So
Right.
sales funnels are a great thing just because it really helps your prospect go down a certain path without being distracted by like all these different things on the website. And so, like you said, man, it's like it's not new. It's just new to us because we're far behind on a lot of things, especially in marketing and business, because all we want to do is like make sure our 808s are tuned. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, most definitely. And I think like the most natural question, like going from that point to the next one, would be to talk about getting leads into your business. I have so many artists that, or producers, however, that talk about like, hey, I know how to get sales, but I don't have enough leads coming into my business. Do you think that you should generate leads from organic, just posting content, and have like a free lead magnet in your bio, or do you think that you should try to learn producers should learn ads, and learn how to run them?
Yeah. So what I teach my students is a lot of them come in with like no following, not really much background in selling production. And so I always teach them the organic route first, because in the beginning, we want to leverage what kind of power we have, which in this moment, it's time because we don't quite have the money yet. So we do want to do the organic things. And I don't mean just like posting once a week, because like if you don't have a following, that's not going to do much for you. But if you actually go out there and like do like the hands-on marketing, like the guerrilla marketing, like go out and like DM people and and like go out and individually reach out to people. Like that's never not gonna work. It doesn't matter like if you're knocking door to door, if you're in the digital age of knocking door to door, like sliding into people's DMs, right? That's never not going to work because it's not a strat. It's not like, again, people say like DMs don't work. I hear this all the time. And it's like, what does that mean? It just means what you're saying isn't working, right? So it's not the method, it's like the execution on it. And so, first of all, you have to learn the proper framework to DM people. But I would, to answer your question, as far as leads, I would go organic first. And then once you build the initial capital, which is why I like doing high ticket, because if you're doing low ticket, man, that's going to take freaking forever. Right. So if you land like a couple clients, you now have like, a few $1,000s to run into ads. But the thing is, like, organic starts off, if you DM people, it's kind of slow. It takes a lot of time and it takes time to build your audience. So you can't like rely on that right away. But if you get your initial capital and then you learn how to run ads, that's how you can scale your business beyond what you can do manually and beyond, right? Because when we run ads, you only have so much time. We all only have 24 hours. Do you have 24 hours in a day? I have 24 hours in a day. My dog has 24 hours a day, right? Or I think so. I don't know how dog use works. But like, we all share the same time. And so you can only do so much in that time. Whereas if you build that capital and you continue to scale properly with ads, it's going to be able to reach way more than you're capable of. Did that
Most
answer the
definitely.
question?
No, that answers the question, and I think it leads into another one because I feel like most producers, they don't know how to find artists, but once they do, and they have more artists than they can handle coming into their pipeline, the next step is just like, what do I do now? And when you talk about manual outreach and doing cold DMs, how does that power balance work? Because when they come to you from an ad and you're offering something, you're in the driver's seat. But whenever you go and message somebody, it's and you ask them for $1,000 or more, then
Mhm.
how does that work for the artist realizing the value you have to offer?
Yeah. So I know a lot of times like we'll focus on our music production and like the quality of it. And obviously like that's a given that's important, but you can only do so much with that. Like you can only get your mixing so clear or you can only get your 808s to hit so hard, right? Whereas like the rest of what's important to working with a client comes down to like your person and your brand. So when you reach out to somebody, first of all, you have to have some sort of um background or some sort of like I usually have like my students optimize their profile so that it says exactly what kind of target audience they're going after and how they have a solution to their problem. So in order so every client, right? They like credits, placements, stuff like that, like it's leverage. It helps you get more clients, but ultimately it's not why your client pays you. Your client pays you because they have a problem. They have this vision in their head of a song that they can't put into reality because they don't know how to produce. So that's your job to find out exactly what it is that they want and craft that solution. Right.
Exactly.
And so that's what they pay you for. So that's what you need to be like presenting. Like if you can describe someone's pain point better than they can, they're just going to believe that you have the solution to it. For example, man, like let's say you've been having like this sharp pain that just like shoots down to your arm and then your arm freezes and you're like, and you can't move it for like a minute. And then like it just goes away. Right. And it's been happening for months. It's like, what the fuck is this like life threatening or something? And you go to your doctor, they can't figure out what it is. You pay all these people that are professionals, but they can't figure out what it is. Right. And then let's just say you and your buddy were walking down the street and you were like walking by this bush and like some homeless guy living in the bush overheard you and was like, dude, that pain that you're talking about, is it something like where it like starts in your chest and it shoots down your arm and it's paralyzed for 90 seconds and then like it just goes away and it's been happening for months? You'd be like, yeah, that's exactly what it is. Like, how did you know? Like, how do I fix this? Right. what just happened? Like you just like believed a guy that popped out of the bushes and is homeless has the answer to your problem just because he described it so well. So
Exactly.
you're gonna
That's
be like, dude,
powerful.
how did, right? And so like your messaging is so much more important than you think, but everyone overlooks it, right? To say like I can do a custom beat, so can everyone else, right? Whereas if like you narrow down on exactly who you're going after, I'm going after a West Coast Asian American rapper who does boom bap who wants to be an entrepreneur. Like you can be able to speak on that pain point way differently than you can to the general masses. And if you're just trying to speak to everyone and you're like, dude, I do trap, I do polka beats, I do bluegrass, like you're not speaking to anybody. Because a person that specializes usually makes more money than the person that's general, kind of. Right. So, like, if you had a hole in your roof and it was just leaking water, fucking up your house, right? Like, and someone was like, and a roofer came out and said, hey, I can fix this, it would be this much versus a guy that said, oh, I'm a handyman. Like, I like fixed your internet, I fixed your faucet and stuff. Yeah, I could fix that roof. It's like, who would you trust more? The
The
guy who
professional.
specializes? Right. Exactly. So that's what your clients are looking for is someone that can specifically tailor to their situation better than the rest can. And if you can speak on that, that becomes really powerful.
Right. No, that's super important, and that's something that like I include in my funnel because I run an ad and I sell through copywriting and through video, and I speak to their problems, and I feel like the biggest issue that artists have is when they reach out to producers that a lot of them are unresponsive, a lot of them are not able to make revisions, and so I want to speak to that, and I let them
Hmm.
know like even when I'm on a phone call, like what was your experience with other producers in the past, and
Exactly.
it's sad that I even have to do that, but a lot of them have had really negative experiences. So it's like, okay, well, here's what all the artists who have worked with me, this is what they've said. And they had
Hmm.
largely positive experiences. So like that alone is going to solve their problem of that personal experience. Um, but my next question moving on was going to be about pricing because selling high ticket stuff, I feel like a lot of producers get caught up on price and they're like, well, I feel like my beats are worth this much, so I'm going to keep it at $300 or $500. What
Hmm.
would you tell someone who is struggling with that mentality of not raising their prices because they feel like artists won't pay it or because they're not worth it?
Ooh, man, the pricing thing. This is a big one. This is 100% mindset. I, man, okay. So just to give like me as an example, right? When I was creating my program, I was like, there's no way I could sell this for more than $1,000. Right? There's no way. Like my audience is broke. They're like just, they're stuck in their 9 to 5s. There's no way anybody's gonna buy this shit for more than $1,000. Right. And then my coach is like, well, you should charge 3,000. And it was just like, I was like, there's no way, man. Like, and so like all he had to do was really truly break a belief for me to where I was confident enough to be like, even if he was completely lying, right? Even if my audience is still completely broke, he strengthened my mindset to believe like the only thing that's keeping them from buying is me presenting the value well enough for them to want to buy. Okay. So if somebody says no to me, it's because I didn't present the value well enough. Because everybody has resources to everything. It's just, do they want it enough? Did you show them that they need it enough? Right. So here's one that like my coach always says, like if you saw like a Lamborghini, man, like just outside in the park in the lot, right? And it said on it a tag, just $10,000. It's like, first of all, is this fucking real? So then you go into the dealership, right? And then you're like, is that out front? Is that real? It's like, yeah, no, that's real, man. Like just for today. Like if someone takes it, they get a Lambo for $10,000. And we all know like Lambos go for like 100, 200, whatever, right? Crazy prices. Like in that scenario, I would probably be like calling all my friends, calling all my family, like taking out as many loans as I can just to get that $10,000, even if I didn't have it. Because I knew that if I got it, I could turn around and sell it for like 20 times more. So I would become resourceful because it was that important to me, because it was that valuable to me. And if I could show someone that, then their actions would be different. They would go take out a loan, they would go do what's necessary. But if I don't present it well enough to why they need this, of course they're not going to do it. Of course it's going to be too expensive. Right. So take some, be accountable. You know what I mean? Like, it's not always like, oh, they don't have money. It's like, no, it's just not important enough to them because you haven't shown them that. Right. So
Exactly.
that's why, like you were saying, man, like on the phone calls, right? You ask the right questions. Like, okay, like what was like the issues with the past producers you worked with? Now this brings up a lot of pain to be like, well, he charged me like $20, but like I didn't get my song, like this didn't happen, there was no revisions and stuff like that. Well, perfect. Like I'm gonna charge you $1,000, but remember all those problems that you said? Like I'm gonna let you do as many revisions as you want. Well, this is probably not good, but like I'll give you this many revisions. I'll make sure that we are in communication the entire time, or we can share a Zoom call. I'll make the beat in front of you, whatever it is. Like you squash all those objections by getting the right answers out of them so that you understand their scenario to see if you can even help them. Right.
No,
Instead of
that
just
that definitely
offering
makes
people,
sense. Right,
instead of
right.
just offering people things.
Yeah, and I think that you think that producers probably just talk themselves out of selling, then because they're just not confident in their product, or you think that, like you're saying with the mindset thing, but all of that stuff is just internal words that we're speaking at ourselves. So you think that that's just like the number one thing you have to overcome, and then just not worrying about if the artist says yes, basically.
Yeah, no, that's the number one thing, man. Like what you believe, and if you believe in your product, is going to be the number one indicator. Like you can ask any salesperson. That's the number one thing. Like you have to believe in the product, right? And so if you don't believe you can charge $1,000, there's something behind that, and you need to figure out what it is and see if you can squash it, right? Because it's your belief. Like if I was like, dude, I know my beat is worth $5,000. Like I would be able to sell it for $1,000 easily because it's only a fifth of the price, right? But it's because the producer doesn't believe it well enough. Like they might tell themselves, they're like, no, I think my stuff's like worth more. It's like, but can you like say $1,000 without choking at the end? So that comes down to your belief, right? Have you ever tried to sell something you don't believe in?
Probably
Like,
not.
have you tried to sell like a boat and be like, this will get you to work?
No.
That's going to be hard to sell, right? Because you don't
Yeah.
believe it yourself. You're like, this shit doesn't have wheels. Like, it's not going to work, right? So you have to believe in it first of all, and that's 100% like most of the pricing thing. It's all about
Completely.
you. It's all about what you think, and if you can convey that value to someone else.
Exactly. No, I definitely agree with everything you said. So, in what I teach whenever I'm telling producers like how to build a business, I think that there's three components, which is going to be like your leads, your offer, and your product. And we already talked about getting leads into your business. We talked about the product and the pricing and everything, and overcoming those price objections. So, when it comes to the product, do you feel like you talked about like producers spending all of their time on their beats, but for some producers who don't feel their beats are there quite yet, like how important is getting a balanced mix to selling a high ticket product or something like that?
Yeah. So it's kind of just so mixing is kind of like the garnish, right? It's like the presentation. It's just like if you were to go into a Ferrari dealership and they showed you a car that was like unpolished, just dirty, just ran through the mud, like has like vomit in the back seat. Still Ferrari, but like it's not very presentable, right? You're kind of like, ugh. Whereas if you saw it like in its top pristine condition, then you would be like much more attracted to it, even on a subconscious level. So one of the most important things when that hits people's with music when it comes to like psychological, like it's loudness, right? So like if a song's just like not loud at all, like the composition is so good, the production is so good, like the melodies are amazing, but it's like I have to turn the volume like all the fucking way up and it's just not hitting, like I'm still gonna be turned off. You can say, oh, that's not mixed right. But like still in the end, it's just like it's not presentable. So if you had something loud that hits hard, that where like when they hear it, they're like, oh, like this makes me move, like this is impactful.
I think that that's a great point. Is like presenting your music the right way. I feel like a lot of producers don't pay attention to that. There's also the question of structuring your beats. You know, like
Mm-hmm.
how important is that? Like a lot of producers, they might do 4 or 8 bar intro and this just run drums through the entire beat with no variation. Like, do you think that structure is important when it comes to selling beats and presenting your beats? Like, if they want to buy it exclusively versus like, nah, I'm not interested in this beat.
Yeah. Um, so I think it's pretty important. The thing though is like some people like different arrangements, but at the same time they don't know how to say it. So if you're selling, I think it's different for like when you're doing like non-exclusive versus like custom, right? If it's custom, then like obviously we want to tailor it to like certain lyrics and certain points where we drop the beat out and stuff like that. But to present it as a non-exclusive, like I think it's still important to give it some variation. Make sure that there's a clear distinction to like where the verse ends and the hook begins and stuff like that. Um, I still think it's important, man. But at the same time, it depends on your genre too, because sometimes like very like rap vocal driven, like you don't want to do a whole bunch of stuff to the instrumental, right? You just might want to drop out the drums every once in a while, put them back in, drop out hi-hats, put them back in. Whereas if you do something within a different genre like EDM or something, it's a lot different. There's like build ups and there's all this crazy stuff. So did I
No,
even answer
that
your
makes
question?
sense. No, that makes sense. That makes sense for sure.
Okay.
I definitely didn't used to like overcomplicate it, but then when I started working, like, because I work through virtual sessions, through Zoom, just like the way we're talking now. I just share my screen and audio, and then that's how I make custom beats for my clientele. And they started
Nice.
asking me like, okay, are we gonna add, where are we gonna add the bridge in? And I was like, I would have no idea, So I think that like you're saying, it's super important to figure out how to structure the beat and know the difference between like, do they need 16 bars to rap over what? Obviously, it's going to change, client by
Mm-hmm.
client. But
Yeah.
but yeah, I want to move back to some of the marketing stuff. So, do most of your students like run an ad and then it goes through like a funnel and they book a call, or do they have some kind of direct to product thing to actually sell the custom beat?
Yeah. So I always do book to call. I teach all my students to do book to call. First of all, I have them go through organics where like I will be like, dude, send like 40 DMs for like every day or 50. Or like a lot of them, this is where a lot of people choke, is like they don't understand the sheer volume it actually takes to be successful. Like I'll talk to people and they'll be like, I sent 10 DMs last month. I was exhausted. I'm like, I'm sorry. That sounds not enough, right? And so a lot of these things we kind of just like underestimate like how much it actually takes, how much effort it actually takes. What was the question again?
No, it's all good. So I was just basically asking, do they do like you're saying, book to call? And that's what I do for my business, and I teach them like, hey, run an ad, have some kind of video offer, have it in a
Mm,
written format too, and then just book it to Calendly. And I feel like that works really well. A lot of people aren't willing to invest in the advertisement to even start out. So you're talking about sending DMs every day in volume. And I definitely agree when you say a lot of people don't understand how much volume it takes, because when I was working my day job, I think I was just like fed up with it. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to send 20 DMs every single day, like
mm,
Monday through Friday. I didn't even actually stop. I would just go every single day. And that changed my life because even though I was still selling leases, I was still selling like $50 leases and $100 unlimited leases. It still was able to scale my business up like almost to 4,000. And
Yeah.
then I started to, upsell to custom beats. And that's when I was like, okay, I think this model is more, it's more feasible. So what would you say to somebody who's just like, well, I don't have time to invest into my business? Is there a way for them to still do this business model?
Yeah. So first of all, if you don't have time to invest in your business, it's just not important enough to you. That's all it is. Right? We prioritize the things that are most important to us. If it's feeding our children, if it's, doing this, and sure, you still all have to do that. Like I'm a dad too. And I just don't like buy the like I work full time and I'm a dad or I'm a parent thing. It's like, great. So is every fucking one else. Like, do you want it? It's like, if not, then just give up, man. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I'm a little harsh when it comes to this kind of stuff, but like, that's what it takes, man. Right? Sometimes it takes like tough lows. Sometimes it takes like reality checks to be able to like hit these goals that you actually truly want. And so, um, I'm sorry, man. I keep forgetting the questions.
No, it's all good. These are gems, man. Like I'm definitely absorbing a lot of this. So basically, we're talking about the objection of a producer saying that I don't have enough time to invest in my business, and you're talking about it's just not important enough to them at that
Yeah.
point.
Yeah. It's not that you don't have time. It's just a priority. It's a level of priority thing. Because if it was important enough to you and you truly believe that it could work, then I don't think sending 40 DMs a day is harder than being at a job that you hate for 8 hours until you're 65 and too old to be able to do anything. If you want to compare like the two, you know what I mean? Like, okay, so you say you don't want to DM people, you say you don't want to take phone calls, but you're also complaining about the job that you hate. Like, which one's worse? Which one sounds harder? Right? Oh, well, now DM sounds super easy. Okay, then do it. That's it. Right? It's just a matter of like doing the things that most people aren't willing to do for longer extended periods of time than most people are willing to do it in order to hit levels of success that you want. Um, so DMs, man, like you were saying, like you started sending like 20 DMs a day and that changed everything for you, right? It's just like sheer volume. Like people are sending like 3 DMs and they don't get any responses. And it's like, well, it's because you sent 3 DMs, right? Like my KPI for like my setters now are like 80 DMs a day. So I don't do it as much anymore, but like in the beginning, like I did all of it, right? And so you have to pay your dues. And then at one point, when you get a system that's good enough, you can delegate it. So it's not that you have to do it forever. But another thing too, like I was saying, because I teach my students how to do organic DMs first and then ads. Another reason for that is because you get to solidify your messaging and make sure that people want your offer before you start throwing money at it. So once you can like solidify your offer and make sure that there's clientele that actually want it, then you can scale it with ads. Otherwise, you're just throwing money into a fireplace.
Okay, so I have a question about that. That definitely makes sense. Like you have to optimize your ad. What's crazy is like when I started running my ad, I was so afraid that it was going to take forever to optimize, but it literally just worked right away because I don't think a lot of producers are running ads, so the market's wide open. But that's another question. But my question, I'm going to cut this out of the interview because it's important. So important. Okay. So I remember. Okay, so my question is whenever your students run ads, are they running an ad directly to sell custom bee where they're just like, here's my offer. If you're interested in a custom bee, book a call with me? Or are they doing some kind of free lead magnet to attract artists into a funnel and then they offer it to them through like an offer page, let's say?
Yep. So what I teach them to do is to either do like a free information, whether that be like a free ebook, just like information for your ideal client to level up their skill set. Or I do free beats. The only thing that I disclose about free beats is like you also get a lot of people that are just recording on their phone, not super serious, right? Because they're just free beats. It's like, great, free beats sounds great. Whereas if you offer information, like you still get those types of people, but it just filters it out a little bit more because someone who's like recording raps on their phone doesn't care about the information that is important to get them to a level of success or a full-time career or whatever, right? So if you wrote like 5 major pitfalls almost every artist makes when trying to start a career in music, like a hobbyist isn't going to download that. A hobbyist isn't going to opt into that. So when it comes to like running ads or really just doing anything as far as sales or marketing, it's important to target your specific demographic and people that you're after, but it's also important to repel those people that you don't want. They opt into the lead magnet, takes them to a VSL, has their beats underneath it, and a video sales letter that kind of hits on the client's pain points. Book a call if this sounds like the situation you're in. Then they go over to an application page where it asks some questions about them and their financial standpoint. And basically, it's conditional. So let's say, for example, they answer the question, they say, I am not ready to invest in a producer. It'll just take them to a denial page. Whereas if they say, I am ready to invest, it'll take you to the calendar page and you can book a call. So Perfect. It's just more filtering and more like prospecting along the way until they get on the call.
That's huge, you know, because like the ad that I run right now, there's no filtering. It's like, I just have to, I always let them know like, hey, send me your music and I'll check it out. And if they're just recording off their phone and SoundCloud, like I won't even take the call, obviously. But like having an application page, I assume they're doing that through ClickFunnels probably.
Yeah.
So that's huge because you're increasing the quality and then you're also reducing the amount of time waste because you already have qualified clients coming in.
Yeah. Sorry. No, actually, you don't need ClickFunnels for that. I use like a form app, whether it be Jotform, Typeform, or something. You just integrate it.
Okay, I'm familiar with Typeform. Yeah, that's super dope. Super dope.
So just integrate it into your thing.
Cool. Because I know I'm doing it like literally the jankiest way possible. And this is how easy it is to get clients in. Like I have no client filtering. I simply ran an ad and never changed it. It just optimized, as I put more money into it, just like $10 a day. And like it still works. So like why don't you think more producers are doing this? You think they just don't know the information, or do you think they're just like too afraid to start?
I think it's both. I think they're afraid to start because they don't know the information. Right? They're like, is this going to work, or am I just spending like $10, $50, $100 a day? I think that's also like a mentality shift as well. Is like when you're investing in ads, you can either look at the amount that you're spending, or you can look at the possible ROI. Right? So if I have something that has been tested and proven, and if I run $10 a day, I absolutely get $100. Then like, it depends where you want to look, right? You can be like, dude, my possibilities, I can get $100 for every $10 I spend. Whereas most people are looking at like, dude, I can't be spending $10 a day. Right? And there's an easy way to solve that. Get a credit card. Now you have a 30-day window to be able to pay it off, and you don't spend any of your money. And I mean, we can go into credit and stuff like that too, but like this isn't not necessarily a financial freaking podcast. But like, if you have good credit, you can leverage a lot of like not spending your own money, instead using other people's money so that you have more leverage to be able to gain things, pay it back, profit.
Yep. For sure. And that makes sense. And that's something I was talking to another business owner is like, I never want to take out a business loan, but I know that if I did, I would make that money back like 10x. So it's like there's still that mental thing there. And I've just been thinking about it. I'm like, I might have to do this, just because it accelerates things so much quicker if you have that plan in place. You already know it's going to work. Right. So I have a couple more questions because I know your time is valuable. We're not going to be here all day, but one of the videos that I saw on, it was either YouTube short or one of your reels that came up, and it was talking about how a lot of people believe that time is equal to money, but your claim is that that's not a true correlation. So you want to speak more on that?
Yeah, and I mean it can be true, like depending on like what kind of outcome you want, right? So I just think that most people think this way is because it's what's been led. That's the way they've been led because of, school, like the normal school system, right? Where like you just work for your money. You put in your time, you exchange your time, and you get paid. So I work an 8 hour shift. I get paid $20 an hour. Therefore, after that 8 hour shift, I get paid this much. If I want to get paid more, I have to put in more time. And as long as you're doing that, you have a ceiling. And that ceiling is 24 hours a day. That's if you don't sleep. So there's clearly a ceiling. And so the best thing you can do if you want to try to build something beyond that is to disconnect your income from your time through automation, through passive income, whatever it is. I mean, like passive income, like kind of isn't even passive. Like that's a whole another thing. But like, um, that's the best way to do it, man. So like, as long as you see time as money, like you're going to be restricted to that ceiling and you're going to fall into that box. And we've been taught this because we need a workforce here in our country, right? So like we're kind of led to be like, hey, go to school. Once you're done with school, then you can start working, be in the workforce, and trade your labor, your time for a little bit of money. Whereas if you can find a way to disconnect it, man, it just becomes more powerful, and that's where the earning potential starts. Right? What you want to focus on is being able to get a result for your client. End of day, whether it be weight loss, whether it be music. For example, in a different niche, if it's weight loss, right? I will help you lose 50 pounds. That's not trading your time, right? It doesn't mean like I'm going to sit here and like feed you and like all this stuff, right? It's just
Right.
like at the end of the day, whether you watch an automated course from me, whether you do this, whether you do that, whether you follow my process, however I deliver it to you, if you get that result, it's worth paying me the money. So, like what you're doing, right? You record a course once and then you sell it over and over and over and over again. You scale ads and you get more customers. You've now disconnected your time from your money, from from getting money.
Right.
You're not showing up and like teaching them this every single time you get a client. And so the delivery is still there because you're delivering on the result and it's to teach them production or whatever it is. But you've disconnected your time from that. And that's where the earning potential starts.
Yeah,
So
I
as
think
long
that's a oh my fault. My fault. Keep going.
oh, I was just gonna say, so as long as you see like those two in correlation related to each other, that's just the result you're gonna get. You're gonna have a ceiling, you're gonna have a cap. So it's not that it's not true, but if you see things that way, that's the outcome you're gonna get.
Yeah, I think like I was going to say that that's a beautiful example, and I feel like so many people just get caught up in like I have to grind and grind and grind, when in fact like you're saying you can just raise your prices and deliver a better offer with a better product, and now you have more clients coming to you than you can handle. Okay, so the last question that I want to leave on is. Well, I advise producers to invest in transformation, not information, because I feel like information is everywhere. Like you can go and find all of the information, but the only reason like they would pay me or you to help them to scale their business is because we're able to curate that information into what they need to transform their lives. So why do you think that so many producers are opposed to investing into themselves as far as like into their beat business and scaling it up?
It's because they see information being free and they think that information is the only thing they need to get to success. It's a part of it. Yeah, you do need knowledge, you need the information, but there's a million other things that you need. You need accountability. You need to make sure like you're staying on the right track, you're doing the right thing versus like, dude, if you're here and you're trying to get here, but you're going over here, like you're never going to reach this spot. Right. So you have no one to correct you. Like, what are you going to do? You're just going to keep reading the wrong information and thinking the wrong thing. Then you're going to take the wrong actions and get the results you don't want. So I very much agree on like the transformation versus information thing. And I tell people this all the time. Like me, I was in the same spot where I was like, dude, why would I pay anybody if there's YouTube? You're stupid if you pay anybody. You're getting ripped off. And I feel like that's like, there's such an ego attached to like getting ripped off where everybody puts up this crazy barrier and they like block out everything that could harm them, but as well could like elevate their position. Right. So everybody is a scam. Like, I don't know how many times I've heard I'm a scam. Right. you can think I'm a scam. That's fine. I mean, like, sure. But like, I know I'm not a scam. And I know, like, if you invested in me, you'd have a massive change. But if you don't want to believe that, you're stuck in your little bubble. Fine. Right. But to go back to like the information thing, like, information is not the only thing that you need to be able to do this as a career. That's just a piece of it. And I spent like 10 years on YouTube trying to figure this out, trying different business models, trying different things to like turn my business into a career, or I'm sorry, my music into a career. And then, last moment, like up against the wall, I was like, dude, I need to either get help or like this is forever hobby. And so I hired a coach and I quit my job in 5 months. So I felt so stupid because not only did I waste 10 years, right? That's 10 years that if I would have hired a coach in the beginning, I would have had 10 more years to grow my business versus just trying to get it off the ground. So till today, like, dude, my business would be much further if I hired a coach earlier. And everybody that is successful gets other people to teach them certain different things, right? I hired coaches how to launch funnels, how to do sales, how to do marketing, like all of that. Like every single piece is super important. And like if you try to go at it alone forever, you're going to be super old by the time you figure this all out. And that's basically like the best cheat code, man. It's like hire other people that are doing what you want to do and have them teach you. Because otherwise you're trading a more valuable asset, which is your time.
No, that makes perfect sense. I think that a lot of people get hung up on that. Like I can do it myself, and that's a good mindset to have. But if you're running up against barrier after barrier, like you need something else, and somebody that offers a solution to your problem and transforming your business should be something you're interested in. So, I really appreciate you coming in for the interview. I think that there's just so many gems dropped that producers can learn from. So where can they find you on social media, like on Instagram, YouTube?
So YouTube, it would be wav.formation, wav.formation. And then Instagram is wave_formation.
Okay, perfect. So make sure you go and check him out and you can learn so much more from him. So once again, appreciate you coming on and
Thanks,
have a
man.
good day.
Thanks for having me.
I hope you enjoyed the interview as much as I enjoyed interviewing Chris with wav.formation. Make sure you go and give him a follow. I also want to let you guys know if you're looking to scale up your beat business and start making more money online from selling through Instagram DMs, make sure you check out my free sales training. The link is in the description or the pinned comment. I'll see you guys in the next video.